Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is round 6 of the ATK Pro Series. My name is Ernest Page, and as always, I'm powered today by ATK Pro Series. This is, of course, the premier series in South Africa, and this is powered by Mercedes-Benz. I cannot believe that we got a brand like Mercedes-Benz to get behind the ATK Pro Series, but here we are. And so far, things have been going sensationally well for the ATK Pro Series. We've also got Coach Dave Academy on board, Kyalami 9-hour Motorsport South Africa. And of course, this event is taking place in South Africa on Assetto Corsa Competizione at Kyalami Raceway. This, of course, is round 6, and it's been an arduous season for the drivers. They have been pushing very hard, and the championship has really gotten down to quite a bit of a nail biter as we make our way into the final leg. Of course, the top 10 drivers from top 10 drivers, yes, from ACC will go into a top 24 showdown, which is starting next Sunday, and that's what the drivers are competing for that top 24 showdown, which then goes to find out who is the best sim racer in the country. Well, I'm joined by one of the best commentary teams in the country, and of course, I'm joined as usual by Mr. Marius Roberts. Marius Roberts, I know that this circuit is one of your favorites. Welcome back to Kyalami Raceway.
Not this particular circuit. I quite preferred the old layout, but it's still a cracker circuit. And just listening to your build up to this, it's been an amazing season. I think we've really tried to level the playing field as much as possible, so that we can get down to like this, the 6th and final round, and be looking at calculators to try and work out who's actually going to bloody win this thing. So I think it's been a fantastic job, because it literally has come down to the wire. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, because Daniel, myself, you guys, we're all sitting and talking about a couple of changes that have happened. So there's been a lot of drama this season, and heading into the final round, it looks like there's a lot more drama that's kind of played out as well. So a lot for us to talk about.
Man, that has brought his own flavor of drama. Daniel Haynes, apologies for that, dropped off there for a second. But you brought your own little flavor of drama. Not too much on-track drama, but certainly making sure that the commentary team is on their toes, and some insightful information. I would love to get your thoughts on, I think, what Marius was hinting at earlier on with regard to the ballast situation. But we'll talk about that later. But for now, welcome to the commentary booth, Marius. Or at least Daniel.
Yeah, so actually this round is the one round where I'm going to sit back and be taught by you two, I think, because I'm a POM and we're at Kyalami. This is not the track that I know like you guys, so I've got a few questions. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm hoping one of you two that have actually been there. My experience of this track is purely sim-related only. So mostly in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and also the mod for Assetto Corsa as well. But it is a driver's circuit. Neutrals around the world, drivers love this circuit because of that fact. So I think it's obviously super fitting for our final round. It has to be Kyalami, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely back home. We got to come full circle, come back to our home circuit. We started off our season 1 with Kyalami Raceway a couple of months ago. And here we are once again for the finale. But of course, the man that many of us have spoken about, and certainly was tipped to win the last race, Jason Abschmeyer, at the top spot there with 455 points in the bag. Just a few points behind him, Jordan Shedid, Morgan McCall in the mix there as well. Brian Lewis, that's an unfamiliar name, in the top 4. I mean, things really have been shaken up quite a bit, Marius, and I think now is an apt time to potentially bring up the ballast situation, which, according to the developers and according to people in the know, the developers have stipulated that the maximum ballast allowed now in ACC is 30 kilograms.
Yeah, listen, I think it's crucial that that point gets raised, because, for us, we came up with our ballast system for the season, and we've religiously stuck to that. And for a lot of the drivers, they would implement some of that into their race strategy for the season, because it isn't just a once-off event. Now the developers go and change all of that, and we as the organizers our hands are tied. There's nothing that we can do about it. But it becomes quite an interesting situation now, because the maximum ballast is no longer 80. but he's 30 kilograms. So for a guy like Jason Abschmeyer that was coming in here thinking, oh my word, this is going to be a horrible race for me, pray for rain, and I'm in with a really good shot to win, is now suddenly sitting back thinking he should go gambling after this, because Kunos have played into his hands, reducing the ballast, and they've also gone further and uprated the aero package on the Porsche, a car that is always strong at Kyalami is now even stronger. So it really has played into his hands. But I think the interesting point is, and it's been raised a few times during the season, do you win? We saw in the last round where Jordan was playing, not wanting to finish in the top 5, mucking around, and that didn't kind of work out so well for him. But the point is, take the points when you can take the points, because things can change in motorsport, as has happened now this weekend as we head into the final round. Regulations have changed out of our control, and all of that sandbagging and mucking around is now going to end up being a double whammy for a couple of guys.
Sure. Well, I certainly think there are going to be a few big winners. The guys that are carrying the ballast into this round. I mean, Jason Abschmeyer certainly. You know, how is that 50 kilogram difference going to make a difference down the line? I think you can comment on that, Dan. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it'll make a massive difference. 50 kgs is a huge disadvantage. Let's not kid ourselves. So, yeah, Jason Abschmeyer's come out smiling from that change. It's just the way it goes, unfortunately, in sort of developers change their games and update them, and we've just been foul to that. But yeah, it doesn't help that he's got a double whammy, Jason Abschmeyer, for the rest of the drivers, that is, because his Porsche has suddenly got a little bit quick around here as well, and it was already a very strong circuit and car combo. Well, so we'll see. I think he's still got a penalty in 30 kgs against all the other Porsches on the circuit as well, don't forget. So 30 kgs in itself is still going to hold him back in lap time.
Well, yeah, but have a look. Sorry, Ernest, he's got no other competitors to worry about, because the next Porsche is Charles Wilkin in 7th. So mathematically out of the running from a championship perspective. So it really has played into his favor. I did think coming into this, not realizing the changes that Kunos had made, I was thinking, geez, we're going to literally sit with calculators working out who needs to finish where, who needs to do what. But we also can talk about the fact that Jordan Sherritt probably isn't going to be racing, because again, like a lot of our real racing drivers, they've got busy schedules, and he's involved in a big international race at the moment. So it just makes things even stronger for Jason. It literally is his championship to lose, because from a Porsche perspective, it doesn't matter how quick the other Porsches are, none of them are in a contention for championship. Tariq Adams as well, apparently he reckons he can make it. He's also potentially not racing today, so it really is Jason's to lose.
Well, last event, also Leslie Oliphant in the 911 GT3R, second position. He also wins with ballast and with, as you say, the fact that he's driving a Porsche. Quay Claessens was in 3rd. Daniel Rowe was in 4th, and Brian Lewis 5th, Bruno Cadile 6th. So these are all the big winners from the last event. And as you said, Jordan Sherritt's not going to be here today. So that's a big possibility for Jason Abschmeyer to now try and do something with this. Morgan McCall also somewhere in the mix there. But now, this is a national championship sponsor powered by Motorsport South Africa. I'm sure you can comment on this, Marius. Does this mean that the winner of this might be Jason Abschmeyer? He's going to win a national championship.
I actually don't know. We need to talk about that tomorrow, because I know MSA is on board and they're seeing a lot of a real future in terms of sim racing as a legitimate sport. Whether that's been put into place, I stand corrected. I don't know if it has been. So if we were to have our MSA awards, would he be receiving an award? I'm not sure. We'll get clarity, and we can chat to Wayne about that. And maybe just finalize that in our post-race review that we always do on a Monday night. But for me, it's a pity that we don't have Jordan here, because I think it would have been proper gloves off, and obviously for our title sponsor Mercedes-Benz, pity that he's not there to fly that flag, because I think it could have turned into a very interesting race. But at the end of the day, we've kind of been robbed of a bit of a championship battle that had been building up so beautifully after all the drama of the 5th round at Donington. It's potentially fizzled out a little bit, but I don't think we're going to miss out on action-packed racing, because we've got a really full grid.
Yeah, well, that's it from us for now. The action is about to start, folks, so we'll be right back after these ads. Here we are at a rainy Kyalami circuit, and look at that. The circuit that always delivers thrills and spills, and this time the final of our ATK Pro Series ACC edition. We're on board now with Quade Claessens in fourth position in the Mercedes-Benz. Of course, this event powered by Mercedes-Benz. Quade Claessens makes his way into the first tight left-hander there. And Dan, you were asking earlier on about the circuit, and these corners look so familiar. It's so nice to finally see a circuit that I've been around and kind of understand where the elevation changes are and those little details. You know, when you exit that section over there, the car wants to go off onto the grass, but you've got to kind of pull it back, and then this little mini straight section down the hill. Marius, I mean, what a circuit. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, listen, we've raced plenty of good races around this track, and what Dan was alluding to earlier, and I can confirm it, you know, having worked on Kyalami 9 Hour and interviewed all the top drivers, they love the circuit because there's a bit of a mix between a Bathurst and a Neuschleife in certain areas where you've got the changes in layout, and you've got this very narrow, through what we saw there through Sunset, it's very narrow. You make a mistake, it's concrete walls that are all around you, there's no runoff in those places. So it is a really difficult track from all the drivers' perspective to actually consistently get it right, because there are little points where it's kind of throw away this corner to line up the exit on that. I mean, the S's are great for that. It really is quite a technical track, but a real driver's track, and it's going to bring out the best of them. I mean, seeing rain like this now, I mean, listen, having Kyalami 9 Hour as a partner, it's kind of pretty much what's happened every single year that we've run it. The last 2 years it's been rain affected. I know Jason, chatting to him earlier, was praying for rain because he's good in the rain, but like we were talking off air, I don't think he needs to worry about rain anymore, having less ballast, and pretty much the championship wrapped up. I think it'll be a nice race for him.
Daniel, you've been doing some calculations there. What are your thoughts so far? Based on the point system and the way the points are structured, you know, drivers don't generally get less than 40 odd points. So what are your thoughts on where he stands in this championship title contention?
Yeah, so Jason's had an excellent season, obviously 2 wins under his belt already and pretty strong finishes in the other 3 rounds. So every driver has a drop round. So looking at the point stat, I think it's pretty hard for anyone to beat him, really, even if he has an absolute disaster today. So if he has a win today, it's absolutely out of everyone's hands, and he's nailed his supremacy, if you like. But it's without Sherratt here, which it looks like he's probably not going to be. Morgan McCall potentially, if he gets pole and fastest lap as well, I think could get close or match on points, but that's probably the only person Jason's actually got to worry about. I'll keep fiddling with these stats as the race goes on, and we'll get hopefully a little bit of a clearer picture, but it's always exciting the last round. Back to Kyalami, I got one question for you. I've asked this before of someone else, so I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the amazing track names. You've got Ingwe, you've got Leocop, you've got Cheetah, the Crocodiles. Why on earth is corner 5 called Barbecue? Surely that's Bry Corner. I got told off for years when I moved to this country, it's not a barbecue. So, Marius, anyone?
You've got to remember that this track, I mean, it actually ran the other way around in the old days, and I think, because of the international racing that we were probably having in those days, if you think about the Formula 1 races, and I'm talking 70s, Barbecue probably wouldn't have gone down as Bry Corner because the international commentators wouldn't have known what the hell was going on. But it's cool that
they don't know what Ingwe is and Leocop, do they?
No, but it does tie into, I mean, those are new names. So if you look at the circuit, the original layout of Kyalami, those corners have been retained. So Clubhouse, the S's, Leeuwkop, Sunset, Yixke, Barbecue, those are all original corners from the first version of the track. Now we've got the new little corners they've added in. Once they've gone and made changes, so what we used to call bowl is now Crocodiles, and they've changed that because they made a change to the circuit with this new format, and they've obviously gone and put in South African names like Cheetah and Ingwe just to kind of keep that flavour. So it's a bit of old historic nostalgia and a bit of South African, what the tourists come to look at. So that's the mix.
That's as close as I've got to an acceptable answer, so I'll take it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the old circuits, if you go and look at footage of the old track when it was running clockwise, I mean, she's super intense, really long straights. And obviously the changes that they made probably back 2016, 2017, I don't think they necessarily made the track a better track. They made it a longer straight, sure. But, for these type of cars where it's more about downforce, the old layout would have worked a lot better. So what they classify, we're coming up to it now, turn 1, the kink. Well, it's no longer turn 1 because it's foot flat all the way down to the first real corner, which is turn 2. But the old layout, as you went through the kink, now there, you would veer a very, very tight left. Downhill braking, and that was a really technical little section of track that once it spat you out on the old start-finish straight. These little corners weren't there, and they kind of try to recreate what they had, but it's nowhere near as thrilling from a driver's perspective and as technical as it was, because there was Nashua 1 and 2. If you got that nailed and you got the S's nailed, you were on track for a perfect lap time around Kyalami. So they certainly have made it a little bit easier. So I'm not a fan of this layout. I prefer the old one.
Well, I think someone that is a fan of this layout is Brian Lewis, the Audi R8. And someone that's not been on the radar quite recently, Brian Lewis, but someone that's also now new on the radar is Bashir Jadwat, who did very well here in the first heat of last season. Bash in the Bentley this time, not running the Porsche. I'm sure he's kicking himself, even though he did say
100%.
he wanted to have some fun. How's 7th place for you so far, Bash? I think Bash would certainly have been a favorite in the Porsche today, Marius.
Well, without a doubt, but I think what has really gone and thrown a curveball in here is the rain. Because we spoke about the advantage that the Porsche drivers should be having on the circuit. Well, that advantage has now been nullified in theory, and that's why we're seeing cars that maybe haven't been running at the top of the field, like the Audi. We haven't seen an Audi this year is suddenly finding itself right up at the top. So someone else that's good to see as well, obviously JC Krobler in the Ferrari. So it really has balanced things out. So we're not going to see that Porsche domination that we would have with Kunos putting in that the aero improvement. I think it's kind of nullified that. So I'm glad in some way that we've gone and dumped a bit of rain on the circuit. Aldo Bellingham, he's running with some new colours. You're not going to miss him in the gloom of the Haarveld in that bright pink Lamborghini. Oh, my goodness me, it's a shocking thing that, eh?
It's a shocking car. The car usually looks good, but I think this time it's sticking out like the proverbial sore thumb. But the 11th place so far for Aldo Bellingham. Jason Avishmeyer, they're doing well in 2nd position. B. King in 3rd. Jonathan Brents, they're still in the pit lane. Hopefully not going to be in use today. At least not as the driver of the pace car. We're hoping for some good racing, but wet conditions certainly are in order at the moment. 4 minutes of qualifying left. So far.
What's also cool, Ernest, just to jump in there, I mean, you have a look how many cars we've got on the track. I mean, that was the debate. So usually we're running the Pro-Ams and then the Pro, but obviously being the final round and the circuit that we're on, lump everyone together. So there's going to be there's going to be some back markers that you're going to have to deal with, which is exactly the reality in the Kyalami 9 hour anyway. So within a 50-minute race, the guys are going to be doing a lot of overtaking. And in these tricky conditions, you are going to end up developing your racing line. What is it going to be like when you go off that line in these tricky wet conditions? That's what you're going to have to consider when it comes to doing your overtake move. So I'm glad that we're running with a full grid. I think it's awesome, and it adds another dynamic to it. So yes, everything was geared up perfectly for a proper championship showdown, but a lot of things out of our control. But I think we're still going to be in for a cracker race.
Yeah. Junior McCall now currently in 5th position. He's just gone up to 2nd place. Junior McCall goes up to 2nd place. And the final 4 minutes are upon us. These drivers are now going to be everything to play for. Bashir Jadwat also up at the moment, gets it a bit squirrely there. I'm just looking at my little cheat viewing station over here, trying to suss out who's in it with a chance. Daniel Rowe, just got word from our producer. Daniel Rowe also doing a good lap over here in 5th position. And let's see how he's going to do so far going up to the last section. You've got to watch out for those curbs there. And this is a very sticky section there. I think he just might have red lit that entire sector. Yes, slows us down. And that's it for Daniel Rowe for now.
Yeah, can I say that's the one thing that has changed. If you remember over the years, they really made a very stupid little chicane there that everyone used to fall all over each other. They've obviously then went to what we were always calling the kink. But with them changing the bowl and going a lot deeper in, it's obviously a lot easier for you to attack the mine shaft and be foot flat through the mine shaft in dry conditions, no problem, because you can end up running a lot deeper. You were always struggling to try and get the car under control and get on the brakes to make the bowl. No longer a problem. But the kink is now a real issue because you arrive at it blind, and it's so difficult to nail it. And they've got a massive sausage curve on the inside. So if you miss the apex just, you're off the track, you're running into a narrow little funnel, and usually where you end up is on the concrete wall on the right hand side. So you hit that that sausage curve, also damage to the car, wheel alignment, and it also pushes you wide. So that for me has now become a really technical little corner, and one you've super got to be concentrating on. If you have a lapse of concentration there, you're off, and you're going to end up in the wall.
Yeah, JC Grobler, someone that's also done very well over the last couple of rounds. Second round, he got pole and first place. And JC Grobler looking good there in the Ferrari, currently in 6th position. He should
Daniel
be doing
Rose up 4/10 still. Just wanted to cut to Daniel Rose and managed to regroup and come back. And 4/10 should get him right up the order if he can just conclude this lap.
Daniel Rowe, of course, in the Lamborghini real-world racer for VW, looking good so far, going through the sweeping right there, and that's where he lost it early on as well. Gets a big time sideways there, manages to correct.
Oh, great control. But that was great, because that was great car control, because that was in a proper four-way slide. Daniel, let me just give you the full correct answer to why it's called barbecue. There's a suburb in Johannesburg called Barbecue Downs. So that corner is on that section of closest to
my
that
next
suburb.
question then, why is it called Barbecue Downs? That should be Bry Downs.
Exactly.
So just keep going along this same route, Mary.
No, I hear you. Listen, I mean, I wasn't involved in the naming of the suburbs, but I certainly would have gone with Brydown.
Go, Kieran Patterson, 11th position currently, might go up. Goes up to 8th place, does Kieran Patterson. Also another driver that's slowly been edging his way up the field here. There, Leslie Oliphant now in 15th position with just 35 seconds to go. Most of the guys are pretty much on pace. Oh, big sideways. Leslie Oliphant goes off into the Armco barrier over there.
Yeah, I expect Daniel Rowe to put in a cracker lap, so I'm glad we've gone back on board with him. You saw him aborting off that big power slide, got the car back under control, and then built up for this is his final run at it. So we know he's got the pace, and I don't think he wants to be sitting in 5th place. So I'm expecting to see Daniel up at the top. He's had 2 runs to get the kink right. Hopefully he nails it this time and puts the car on the pole. It'll be great.
He's not as quick as he was though, because in this point in the last two laps that he was 4/10 up, and he is not improving at the currently, and struggling towards the end of the lap. So he might be a bit sort of upset that he didn't conclude those last 2 when he would have seen green on his Delta, a lot of green, 4/10.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anybody's really looking that green at the moment, and certainly not this green. JC Grobler,
the track's pretty green at the moment.
JC Grobler, the only one that's up at the moment. The Bastos further down, also up, but let's see if JC Grobler can pull something out the bag. Yeah, I see Heineke's up in 17th position as well. Grobler now currently up just under a 10th of a second, but it's topsy-turvy as he makes his way through the S's off the grass. Red lights his lap and gas lights the lap there. Unfortunately, that's it from JC Grobler.
Yeah, that was through the S's, and I mean that's the thing. You know, you've got to be very patient when you turn into the first S, so you can really attack the second one. And if you run in a little bit too hot on the way in and you run wide on the exit, there's big problems. So that's what happened to him there. But I'm looking forward to a wet race.
Yeah, looking very much forward to
getting worse on the forecast as well. So I think that's why we haven't seen any progression here at the end of the dark. Usually you see a track progression, but not with the wet weather.
And also, you usually see the guy start to dial in Bashir Jadwat ever so slightly up, but it's not going to make much of a difference. In 11th position is our man Bash, but we'll be right back with the race after these ads. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The racing is about to kick off. The circuit very greasy out there, and these guys have everything to play with. In front, we got Brian Lewis. Somebody just spun off in the background there by the looks of things. Oh, yes, we got somebody off the circuit there. Bruno
But
that looks like Daniel Rowe.
That
looks like Daniel Rowe, but I think it was a glitch, though.
Yeah, I shouldn't be laughing, but that happens so often in these tricky conditions. So easy to do that.
So easy to do that. The guys are really threading their way through, and it's true because the temperature of the tires aren't up yet. You know, you're not focused as hard as you would be if you're going at speed. Sometimes it's difficult to go down a circuit slowly with a car like this, you know, especially, you know, with the clutches kicking in and out, the power coming in hard and fast. But these guys getting their heads right, getting zoned in, because the ATK Pro Series round 6 is about to kick off. Marius, who are you looking at the moment?
Yeah, listen, I think knowing Jason, and even though we've kind of decided that mathematically no one can beat him, knowing the guy that he is, he's here to win. So I think he's certainly somebody to look out for. I think Daniel Rowe is going to have a strong run here as well. I think the pressure's all off, but I'd like to see Junior McCall on the top step of the podium. I think he's had amazing pace throughout the season. He's been dealt a couple of bad blows from a strategy perspective, but I think he's due for a win, and I'd like to see that happen for him today.
Well, Junior McCall second on the grid at the moment. Next to him, Brian Lewis in first place. Jason Abschmeyer in third. Bernard King in the Aston Martin in fourth. One of the best results we've seen from him so far. And behind that, Daniel Rowe, Bruno Kadile in seventh place. Now we make it through the final section. The guys are right next to each other. Cool, the nerves now start to kick in. This is the final round. So far, so good. The guys are all tucked in tight. See the Coach Dave Academy board up ahead there. Up your game. And certainly the drivers have been doing that over the last couple of months.
And so is Brian Lewis. Great to see him on pole. I think that was a cracker lap, and now he's under pressure to lead us away.
Yeah, Brian Lewis going to lead us away, ladies and gentlemen. This is the start of the ATK Pro Series round 6 at Kyalami. Brian Lewis in the lead so far. Junior McCall's got the outside line. Off they go. The lights go out. We're waiting. Yep, there we go. Lights go green. Junior McCall on the right-hand side there. Bernard King looking on as the three drivers start separating themselves into the first corner. Daniel Rowe looking up as well. Morgan McCall having a look down the inside behind him. Kadile also checking it out. Kieran Patterson, Grobler and Patterson right next to each other. Very close racing so far. It looks like McCall and Patterson touched further back. But so far so good as they make their way through the first couple of corners.
Wow, that was really fantastic commitment, especially Daniel, very late under the brakes. You saw he got a nudge heading through barbecues.
Oh, King goes off, Grobler's off as well.
Yeah, there's another little nudge there. So, I mean, that's coming back on the track, and Daniel just kept his line. So he's ended up recovering good positions there, because he certainly got knocked wide through barbecue. A lot of action through sunset. This is what we want to see.
Lots of action
good old
there.
Days. Yeah, but it's like the good old days of motor racing, where you've got like a pack of cars just nailing it through sunset. Such a technical corner in the dry, and it's just going to be very interesting to figure out where your grip levels are in the wet. You know?
Bernard King goes down the outside of deploy, spins out. So Bernard King now separating himself, but he's quite far down the order. We've got King now currently in 12th position, looks like it. Elder Bellingen right behind him. On the inside of Grobler now is Klaasens. Klaasens and Grobler going through that tight section. Down the mineshaft they go. We've got Klaasens, Grobler, Jadwat up ahead of him in 10th place. Isherwood in 9th. Adam in 8th. Kadile in 7th position there. The green Ferrari goes wide once again further back there. Grobler spins out.
He's taken Jadwat as well.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what the tricky thing is there. You saw what happened. Hit one of the sausage curbs, and that just unsettled the rear of the car. But I mean, his line was completely wrong. Bash actually took a very early defensive line going into the mine shaft, and maybe that's what went and messed up Grobler. He ran very, very wide. So Bash unfortunately getting collected, and that's the sort of stuff that happens in the wet. That would never have happened in the dry, because your line is pretty clear. You committed, you can make little changes, but in the wet conditions, so difficult to pick that line and to make a change and commit to it, because it's going to be like snot out there essentially.
Well, Bash has made the commitment to go into the pit lane as we go on board with the Lamborghini there. That's Daniel Rowe now in 4th position, one of his best position so far in the season. Now right behind Junior McCall as they go through the right hand over here, going to make their way into this left hand. It kind of turns in on you here, doesn't it, Marius? This corner, you got to have such patience through this section. Wait for it, and now hard on the gas. Daniel Rowe now chasing down Junior McCall.
That's clubhouse for you. You know, it's a
Daniel, go!
very technical corner, too late on the brake, so outbraking himself going into the first S's, and if you get it wrong there, you're in big trouble. So he's managed to hold on to that position, but his speed now has been compromised the whole way because you've got a long run up to the top of the hill. So yeah, it's you can see as a guy as experienced as Daniel, obviously in a real racing car, you'd be feeling that feedback through the wheel. Obviously not the same sitting in the simulator, but he's managed to hold on to that position. But you know, we asked for an action-packed race, and we certainly are getting it. But Ryan Lewis doing a cracking job going and putting the car on pole, leading out, and Jason Abschmeyer, sure, he's running with 30 kilograms of ballast instead of the 80. And still putting in some good lap times, but to be running in front of a guy like Jason in the Porsche,
he's pitting. Abschmeyer's in the pits
around here. I wonder why he's done that.
Yeah, he's decided to go for a very, very early pit stop. It might be because he's got the tyres wrong, because the track is massively progressing. It's saying it's just greasy now, not even damp. We've got a dry line forming on circuit as well.
Yeah, that's a big strategy change. And I mean, Daniel, you know you've spent enough time racing in these communities. Jason's the sort of guy to have the composure to make a quick call like that. And I suppose it's also easy to make that call if you know mathematically it's not going to really affect your championship. So if he makes a wrong tyre choice, it's not really going to affect the outcome, is it?
Well, Bruno
he must have had something with the tyres to change to make him pit so early, but if it puts him right at the back and there's a gap, it might not be a bad choice if that's going to be the case with other drivers as well, because that's the thing with these track conditions changing. It looks like we're going to have a full dry circuit not too long. The forecast on the weather for the next 30 minutes is for dry conditions, no rain whatsoever. So
a lot of these guys are currently on wet weather tyres, if I'm not mistaken, full wets at the moment.
Yeah, they would have been. But I mean, my thing is I would not want to be sitting at the back with a big grid like we've got here. We're not dealing with the top 30 pros. We've got a bit of a mixed bag today. So I think you don't want to be making your way through the traffic here. I think maybe what might play into Jason's favour is a lot of other guys might see that and go, hang on, we're on the wrong tyre. So I think he's hoping that everyone's going to peel in, change onto better tyres, and that's going to open up the track for him. So maybe that was the strategy call.
Yeah, well, Jason Abschmeyer, currently his best time is 1 minute 50. We'll be keeping an eye on that to see how he does. Currently in 25th position. So our championship leader at the moment, and champion in waiting, potentially, Jason Abschmeyer, now with his head down chasing. Speaking of chasing, Morgan McCall now and Bruno Cadile getting back in it. Bruno Cadile made the overtake. Yeah, Bruno Cadile made the overtake earlier on, 1 lap earlier now, as Morgan McCall tries to bite it back and get that 4th place back under his belt.
Yeah, it was quite cool because going on board there with Morgan, you can see you've got so many different lines through crocodiles, and a lot of the time in the old days it actually worked a lot better. Those lines, you could literally get a pass down there, but now because they've gone deeper into it and they've made it so wide, it's quite easy for you to defend that irrespective of the line that you do take through there. So Morgan is trying different lines, trying to unsettle Bruno, but Bruno is keeping it pretty composed. But have a look, that's Daniel Rowe has got past Junior McCall, so we missed that overtake at some point. So Daniel now running in 2nd place, Junior McCall all over the back of him. So maybe if our producer Dan can look back and try and find that overtake move, it'll be a cracker. But it doesn't look like Bruno can run with the pace of our top 3 at this stage. You see he's falling back, and that's just creating some interesting battles behind, because Tariq Adams has made it. So there we are. I was wondering if he was going to make it. He thought that he could, and this is a man that's in with a serious shout for definitely 2nd position overall in the championship now that it's now that Jordan Sherritt isn't here. So this is a great battle, and we know how quick Tariq is as well. So
and we've got some interesting strategy at play as well, because we've got Marcus Stain and Charles Wilkin are also pitted early. So we've got 3 drivers that decide to pit right at the start of this race, obviously for tyre change or checking or getting their mandatory pit stop out the way. Could be really interesting as this race unfolds, whether that's paid off.
An issue with side by side there.
What sort of times are they running, Daniel? Have you been able to see anyone
I've got some times here. I've got some times here.
Marcus Stain wasn't quick when he pitted. He's 146. Abschmeyer, who's come out, he's not quick at all. 151 was his last lap. Very, very slow. So he's trying to get his tyres up to temperature.
But I think that's the thing. Like you forecast, it's going to be dry. There's no bad weather in 30 minutes. So it's not about what happens now. It's about looking after those tyres, because they're going to come into their own later on. And I suppose that's a tricky thing. You know, slick tyres work
Brian
well.
Lewis also in the pits, I've got.
Yeah.
So everyone's coming in now.
There's some
Slick
weird
tires.
strategy at play here, guys, because
No, I
like
think they've got to just get onto the right tire. I think that's what the call is. It's no longer about strategy, but you know how it works with slick tires in damp conditions. They work fine as long as you get them up to temperature, and getting them up to temperature is obviously going to take a little bit longer. So it's quite important that the guys coming out of pits are just patient. Don't try and do anything too stupid, because you're not going to have the grip levels. And once those tires get to temperature, you're going to start seeing those lap times plummeting, especially as the track conditions are improving lap after lap.
well, the top guys are doing 44s and 45s at the moment, up until about 5th position with Tariq Adam. After that, they go to 45, 46. But the weird thing is that Jason Abschmeyer, he was doing some really slow times. Early on, I saw 50,
Oh, he just put up
51.
45.6 in.
Well, there we go. So
Wow.
Jason
Oh, he's up
Abschmeyer was
there now.
probably on the wrong tires in the first place.
Yeah,
No,
I
but,
think so.
but everyone's running on those tires. So remember, everyone's gone out on wet. So he's now obviously running on slick tires, I would imagine.
No, we
which is why
started on a
it's
damp
taking-
track. It wasn't raining, was it?
I think
changed-
some of the guys went for slicks on the
I
start.
reckon they would.
think
I
that
would have
might
went
be
for
the case.
slicks. You'd only ever go to wets if it's actually raining, and they can see the forecast as well. So I think possibly Absmar got
Abschmeyer
it
took the
wrong.
wrong tires, yeah. I think that might have been the case, but we're going to see now. His time is now on pace, but he's still in 22nd position, which is a major problem. Oh, we got Kadile off there. Kadile's gone off and gets overtaken there by McCall. Adam as well, looks like it.
Yeah, that's an easy
Kadile slots
mistake.
in behind.
We've spoken about it. So he actually went and hit that curb we've warned about on the inside of Cheetah, and that is just good night. Sorry, you're off. He actually did well keeping it out of the wall. But have a look at Tariq getting a good toe on the back of Morgan into this heavy braking point. And yeah, again, you can live on the outside, but you can see he's being pushed wide over here. But you can live on the outside through that, because it gives you the inside through barbecue. So very interesting little battle that's unfolding here, and Bruno obviously collecting himself again, changing his underpants, and he's back on song again. I see there's a
he's
5
definitely
second
back in it.
penalty for Quade Claessens as well. That I'm assuming is an in-game penalty, so I'm not too sure what that would have been about.
That
It
could
was
have
a
been an
steward's
incident with,
penalty, I think, for
that
avoidable
could have been the
contact.
incident with Bash
Ah,
earlier
yeah.
on. Yeah, Kadile now having a good look at the two in front of him, battling it out. You got McCall and Adam really having a ding-dong time over there. Bellingham looking on as well. He's about to get involved behind that. King also back in the running in 7th place after a fantastic start, or at least a fantastic start on the grid for qualifying, but losing out big time. King so far, one of the fastest guys here. He's about to go into the 43s. The guys are all dropping now into the 44-second range, with McCall in 2nd place, 43.9. And 1st place, Daniel Rowe
He's
with
like,
43.3.
Hang on,
Yeah,
I
track
cannot
times
believe.
are tumbling now, aren't they? You've got looking at back at Absmar. He's still 2 seconds slower. His time's coming down, but so is everybody. So you've got Daniel Rowe and Junior McCall are definitely the quickest guys on track at the moment.
Sorry, but we are watching some amazing racing. I don't know where Bruno got that incredible pace from, but up at the tabletop in Leeuwcorp, he just literally dived up the inside of Tariq, got incredible drive down the mine shaft, got the overtake done. Tariq's back in front of him, so this is really crackerjack racing. So the guys certainly are putting it on. You guys can guide me. I'm obviously a little bit confused in terms of the tyres. So would they be running? Have they got semis that they can run on here? Intermediates?
You got wets and slicks, but what's critical with the Assetto Corsa is the tyre pressures, actually. And
Yeah.
if you get them outside the window, the amount of
They don't
time you
work.
lose is significant. So they might just come in for a pressure change, and as the track temperature warms up, it affects your tyre pressures.
No, but well, you see, that makes sense to me. I assumed that these guys might be running on wets or intermediate tires, and then they're making the change. But if a set of course is basically telling you it's wet or it's dry, there's no margin to play other than with tire pressures. So that might be exactly what we're seeing people doing, is amending that. But that's going to be ever changing. So sometimes stopping early isn't necessarily going to be the best thing, because with the track heating up later, that is when, for me, you want to get the tire pressure spot on. So there might be a bit of the guys that, like a Daniel Rowe, that's opting to pit middle of the race, I'm assuming, will probably be at an advantage in terms of ensuring he's got the right tire pressures for the finish.
Yeah, what a finish we're going to be having here. I think Jason Abschmeyer could pull a surprise out the bag if things go his way or not. We're going to have to wait and see. But we're currently looking at the battle here between Bellingham, Kadile, T. Adam, McCall, leading them away there in 3rd position. The top two guys slightly further up ahead. But these guys are battling it out here. So close. King now starting to sneak up. Bellingham slotting in behind Kadile. Kadile slotting in behind Adam. Adam slotting in behind McCall as they go through the sweeping right-hander. Now about to go and complete yet another lap. 37 minutes to go.
And King's quick. He's 142. I'm just looking through the times, and it doesn't. You're used to seeing them in order of race position almost, but they're all over the place. These guys manage to just find grip, get their tyres where they want to be. They can suddenly put a quick time in. So King put an awesome lap in the last time out. He's the man on the move.
Down the inside there, somebody's trying to make a move. That looks like Adam and Kadile having a go at each other. Kadile there on the inside having a good look. Adam blocking and defending, but at the same time having a look at McCall. Kadile getting a bit impatient here. He's had enough of this. He wants to get past now, regain some of those positions. Bruno Kadile looking really good in this McLaren number 788.
Yeah, I mean, all that happened there is Tariq just completely compromised himself, having a look into turn 2, and like, you can't have a look. You either go or you don't. But because he went and kind of thought about it, it really compromised him through the follow my leader little super tube section up onto what is the old start finish straight, and that's what gave Bruno that good run on him. So you should find Tariq settling back into his rhythm and getting back onto the back of Morgan McCall at the moment. But like I said to you earlier, you know, when you chat to the top pro drivers in the real racing world, they just said it's so difficult to just consistently put in a good lap around here, because it is technical. There are these final margins. I think that's what we're also seeing, is that no one is just consistently lapping, you know, within 0.2 or 0.3 of a second, lap after lap. There's so many changes, and I suppose that also comes from the battles that we're seeing. And there's definitely some, look here, back markers ahead of us. So these guys already, you know, 12 minutes in, are having to deal with back markers. So it's going to be a busy race.
Fenter and the Bastos now getting collected up as they make their way to the straight. This could be a good opportunity to get past, but someone is going to come off second best, and who is that someone going to be? Fenter de Bastos, as I mentioned, in front, 30th and 31st position. There are 32 cars on the grid to start off with, so these guys are in the mix here now with the lead pack. I wonder what's going to happen next.
I don't like this line that Tariq takes, because for me the line through turn 2 is to, unless you're going defensive, stay as wide as you can, and when you turn in, you actually try and straight line the little combo of corners. But he tends to, under braking, he trail brakes in and brings the car into the inside of the circuit, and that just spits him out really far wide when the next corner is going to be a right-hander. And that's why you see Bruno coming on to putting him under massive pressure through there, and he's done that 2 laps in a row. So yeah, it's not for me the ideal line. Good to see our back markers getting out of the way. I think that was De Bastos moved out of the way. Was that Fenter? So great to see blue flags getting out of the way, not getting involved in the battle. That's fantastic to see.
Yeah, in turn 2, though, I've seen quite a few races in ACC, and there you're right. There's quite a few different lines that drivers take through there, and it causes issues because you'll either get a really quick exit or you go in too quick on your entry, and then you get cars coming together because they got so used to their line. Suddenly you see a driver going a completely different line, and it causes issues. I've seen more incidents at turn 2 on this circuit than any other corner.
Yeah. It's very, because I mean, for me, you kind of also sometimes get sucked into the thing that you think you're in for a shout, and you end up putting your nose where you shouldn't be putting your nose, and that just it causes massive problems. Yeah. But for me, the perfect line through here is just to stay as wide as possible. Morgan actually does it really well, and rather line up the proper exit.
Adam might have the inside here. Adam might have the inside. Morgan McCall doesn't want to give it to him. McCall takes it back. McCall takes the inside line here. That was so close. Bumper to bumper action here as they go through the first left. And the Morgan runs wide. Adam gets the undercut. What's going to happen? The next one is the right and then a left. I think Adam might have the inside line for this next section here. Oh, McCall makes him go over the sausage curve there.
You see, the problem for me is there again, Tariq still, even though Morgan went defensive, still ran his normal line. For me, stay wider, then you really are going to get a good drive out of there. And Morgan did very well, because it's not for him to have to give up that position. So it was Tariq's decision to have a go at it or hit that sausage curve. And I mean, that's kind of where he ended up. And that's, again, not somewhere that you want to find your car, because it really does unsettle you big time. But all of the guys have survived, and they continue the battle, thankfully for us as a commentary team, because this is really the action we like to watch. I just see Junior McCall's now obviously currently leading, so Daniel Rowe's chosen to go and pit. What is crucial, he's now ahead of Jason Abschmeyer. Now remember, he was behind Jason before Jason chose to go for that early pit. So this really has worked out in Daniel's favor. So he's actually leapfrogged Daniel through the pit stop. So nicely done. Good strategy.
Jason's just struggled to get his lap times down to where it needs to be quick enough. He came out and it wasn't quick enough. He was a good 2 seconds slower almost every lap than the leaders, and he's now got them down. His last lap through was a 1:43 flat. which is pretty much there or thereabouts, but still half second off to the likes of Junior McCall, Morgan McCall, Tariq Adams. They're all deep into the 42s now.
Tariq Adams pulls into the pit lane there, FYI.
Not a bad move, because I think for me it looks like he's got better pace around a complete lap than Morgan. Just can't seem to make the pass stick. So I think that little strategy to move himself into there and hopefully get an undercut when Morgan chooses to pit later. So let's see if that works into Rick's favour or not. Great running
man on the
stage.
circuits. Sorry, Marius. The fastest man on the circuits, Charles Wilkins. He's the one man in the 41s. He's consistently in the 41s as well. So he was also someone that pitted early, but he is still behind Jason Absmar, but catching him.
But have a look.
All the way down.
So Daniel at this point is our technical leader. I see Brian Lewis. Actually, no, I'm wrong. So have a look, but it can't be Tariq because he's still in the pits currently. So Brian has pitted as well. So Brian is still leading the race. Daniel has obviously now found himself up in second position. So, there's a nice little shift up. So this is a strategy you were talking about, Daniel, with guys choosing to pit when they do and how it's going to play out. So, it's going to be an interesting final 30 minutes in this race. And we've got a proper mix at the top in terms of the people we're commentating on. We haven't had Daniel in the top three. Bruno's up there. Aldo Bellingham having a great run in fourth in his right. I think pink's obviously his new colour. It's kind of working for him. Obviously, none of these guys have pitted yet, so it'll be interesting to see where they slot back in. But I think they're all hoping to come out in like 7th or 8th position once the pit stops are done and dusted.
Yeah, the pit stops are going to be frantic pretty soon, I'm sure. If we look at Morgan McCall there as Cordelia dives in, and so does Aldo Bellingham. Looks like it's the Lamborghini, I think, that went in there. So no, the
Lambo's still there.
Yeah,
how did you get that wrong, Ernest?
I mean, that
Lambo's a bit of a standout.
I thought he was black to black again. Now, the guys changed their color. I'm not okay with it. I kind of like the black Lambo, to be honest.
Yeah, listen, the black Lambo looked very sexy. You will not find me dead racing in a pink car for real. I mean, I'm comfortable with my sexuality, but pink wheels and a pink car. Oh,
the sponsors like it though. You stand out.
Yeah, of course you do.
True. That's true. Yeah. That's true. And I realized that, speaking to the guys from last year, that with the sim racing specifically, you kind of gotta stand out. And I mean, we look at some of the liveries we've seen this year, just incredible stuff. The guys certainly are making themselves more visible. Charles Wilkin in the lime green Porsche over there, just behind Etienne Kleb in the Aston Martin, and Charles Wilkin, as you mentioned earlier on, one of the fastest guys on the circuit at the moment.
He was a bit further back, wasn't he? So he's trying to gain positions, but he's quick. Brian Lewis though he's come out and he's 1:41.5, so I think he is our technical leader quite comfortably. I don't think anyone's going to catch him as long as he's not held up in traffic. That's always the risk, especially when you've got a full grid where we've mixed the Pro Series and the Pro-Am Series. You come up behind traffic very quickly, and you get held back a few seconds. That can massively affect it when it all pays out.
Well, in theory, this has also kind of worked out, I think, unfortunately, not in our favour from a race perspective and for the commentators, because I would love to have seen dry conditions for qualifying and then rather have the race come, the rain conditions happen in the race. Because what we've seen now is, it's dry conditions. Everyone's into their little rhythms now, so I don't expect to see too much carnage. It's going to be a lot easier to pass the back markers in these conditions. So, the roll of the dice has kind of played out. So I think this is going to be ending up being quite a pedestrian race from here on in. Because if I have a look at the time, I think from first to second over Daniel, there's a 10-second lead that Brian Lewis has. So for him, he's just literally got to circulate now, not do anything stupid. And it could be a fantastic new winner in the ATK Pro Series. It's great. We've had a lot of those this year. Jason Absmar, the only one that's gone with a double.
Yeah, Jason Absmar getting 2 wins, and Aldo Bellingham also looking good here in second position. He still does, however, have to pit. And you can see the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. Wesley Hampson also in 8th position in the Porsche, having to pit. Junior McCall, though, in the lead so far. He's going to be happy to have that lead. It might be a little bit short-lived once the deck gets shuffled again, but McCall, once again, getting a taste of what it's like at the front of the pack.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. So Tariq Adams has made up a lot of places as well, because technically he's now sitting in 5th position. I say he's pretty much there and thereabouts. Morgan McCall has leapfrogged Jason, so that's worked out nicely for him. Charles Wilkin really has moved up nicely, so we're running with some good lap times as well. So we're having a look here. Shane Stradham in that Lexus. Lovely looking
Sure.
car.
Amazing overtake there by Stratum. Claasen's also rocking a 5-second penalty for his trouble earlier on with that collision with Bash. The two of them very good friends off the circuit, but unfortunately that incident caused a little bit of damage on Bash's car. He went into the pit lane there.
Yeah, but is that the one that we saw in at Crocodiles?
I think it was
When the car hit the curb and lost control.
Yes.
And
yeah, I think it was that one.
Come on, how do you issue a penalty for that? The guy ran wide,
Sure,
lost
we'll
control.
find out tomorrow, Marius.
No, I know, but I'm just kind of going, geez, so I made a mistake. I flipping tossed my car off the track and happened to clatter into another car, so I'm going to penalise you. Anyway, I'll have to have a look at the replay, but that just seemed a little bit harsh. Felt like, that's the crap that happens in racing sometimes. You end up in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Exactly, and sometimes backwards in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly.
Claasen's and Stratum having a good go at it, but Stratum so far having a little bit of pace. He's eked out a slightly 0.3 of a second now in front of Quade Claasen's. Both of them still have to pit, and those green boxes now are slowly but surely getting ticked as more and more drivers make their way into the pit lane, and we're starting to see how things are going to unfold. Here's the replay here, and that's Wentworth over there. And the South African livery, Seradio there in the... Oh, Seradio gives him a Wentworth a bit of a tap there.
Yeah, that's problems. That's problems. That's
like,
kind of
this one's for Africa.
That's what the two Porsches did in 2019, leading the race, synchronized, spinning up at the top. Quite interesting to see. Looks like Daniel Rowe. I don't know. Okay, yes, he's got past. Someone's on Fenter finally. He was getting held up by Fenter there. Which obviously wasn't helping his charge to try and catch our theoretical race leader, Brian Lewis, up ahead. So have a look there, nearly 10.5 seconds behind him now. So this is Tariq Adams and Jason Abschmeyer having a good go. I love the rainbow livery on Jason's car, especially done for the race this weekend. But remember that he should have been running with the 80 kilograms of ballast for winning our previous round. But Kunos have gone and change things, so the maximum ballast is 30, which is what Jason's running with. So you don't expect him to be able to hold position. I'm sure Tariq's going to be a lot quicker and will get this pass done at some point. But the Porsche obviously super strong around here with that new aero update as well. So I was
expecting Jason Abschmeyer to be a little bit quicker. Obviously, he enjoyed the wet weather conditions. There was rumours going around that this was going to be a wet race. Perhaps he spent a little bit more time practicing in the wet than he has in the dry, because he's just lost time as the track has progressed. Obviously, he is carrying 30 kgs, but the amount of time he's losing indicates it's a little bit more than that, really.
Well, he's under immense pressure at the moment from Tariq Adam.
Do you think so, Daniel? Because for me, that is it. If it's just the wet conditions, it just balances everything out. So suddenly that ballast doesn't become a concern. But now that it's in the dry, he's going to feel that 30 kgs. Obviously not as much as the 80 kgs.
Well, if it was 80 kgs, obviously significant. But 30 kgs, we have seen guys this season do reasonably well with it. Tariq Adams was one of them, I remember, in one round, did very well. And he made a nice pass there on Jason Abschmeyer into turn 2. But yeah, just his lap times, he's pitting early. I'm very confused about that. And then when he came out, they weren't there. The lap times just weren't there.
Bellingham drops back one position there. Sorry about that, guys. Bellingham makes a mistake, drops back one position. This queue over here is now starting to hot up and get a little bit tight and a little bit close for comfort as Wilken has a look on the two in front. Abschmeyer down the inside. They were call getting pressure now. And
that's Morgan. That's Morgan putting pressure on Jason. So Jason, look at that. Once Tariq got past him, it's just sprinted away, and now he's holding up Morgan. So expect to see a pass, Morgan McCall on Jason Abschmeyer, and just behind that in the green Porsche is Charles Wilken as well. So Jason Abschmeyer is literally going to be plummeting down the thing. But at the end of the day, remember, it's not like the top 10 score points here. So I think he's going to find himself in a position where he's not too stressed about the fact that he's giving up positions, because the championship is still going to be his.
Yeah, as long as he wins the championship, play within those rules, try and secure the championship. Abschmeyer has everything to play with here. An unbelievable turn of events as Jason Abschmeyer, now the favorite going into the final 23 minutes of the season. Jason Abschmeyer, the Porsche there, getting chased down by Morgan McCall. Behind that, we got Charles Wilken, Bruno Kadile. Also in close proximity is Alder Bellingham, who had a bit of a moment earlier, but now finds himself back on the back of this queue with Bernard King looking on further behind. Leslie Oliphant also in the queue So what a section of
yeah, goes
racing.
Morgan though. Check of the slipstream. I mean, that's where you're going to really start. That's where you start seeing that weight. You know, the Porsche just obviously carrying that weight coming out of the corner, just can't get the drive done. That's a great pass around the outside by Morgan. We saw this is a replay of what happened one lap earlier with Tariq getting past Jason Abschmeyer. So, yeah, Jason literally is fighting a car at the moment, really struggling. And you see Bruno Cadile and Charles Wilkin and Aldo Bellingham going 2 by 2 into Sunset. This can be done. I've put a guy on the wall before going around the outside here, because the idea is that you hold on to that position for Clubhouse. But Charles lost out to Aldo Bellingham. They obviously backed off on it. So I expect to see a lot of argy-bargy going on here. Aldo and Charles side by side heading into the S's. That ain't going to work.
Charles Wilkin, the big loser there, as Bernard King now also steps into view. Charles Wilkin right behind that Lamborghini over there. Unfortunately coming off second best to Bellingham, and now Cadile and Abschmeyer having a go at it at the top of the hill. Oh, the guys are coming in hot. Abschmeyer under immense pressure all the time. He's soaking up the pressure, but Abschmeyer looks like he's the bottleneck here as Cadile has to take evasive action.
Yeah, he's just getting picked off lap after lap. So expect to see the exact same pass again. If I was Bruno, I would just sit tight. Okay, he's not. He's obviously wanting to try and get the move done, but he would have got the pass done at the end of the start-finish straight, because that Porsche just really is struggling coming out of Ingwe and not able to get the power down, and that's going to compromise that long straight all the way down into turn 2. So, yeah, Jason's going to really, really struggle to finish in the top 10 here. Not that it matters in the big
3 seconds
picture.
slower than pretty much all the other drivers on circuit, so it's significantly more than 30 kilos would make you believe, I think, and he's just getting completely mucked, doesn't he?
Yeah,
so what is that? Is that a setup? Or is that a set? No, he hasn't hit anybody. Is that a setup change? Is he maybe
possibly
like you predicted?
might be a setup change. He went for a wet race setup, and he's in it, and the track is full on optimum conditions now, so it's as quick as it's ever going to get.
Well, this is the quickest that Kyalami's also dried out. So obviously, I'd love to be able to bring this drying system to the real race, because it's once it gets wet here, even though they've got great drainage on the circuit, there are a lot of parts of the track where it does pool, and aquaplaning's a real challenge for the drivers. But yeah, Jason really getting mugged. So Daniel, I think you've picked it up. I think he's gone and obviously predicted a wet race setup and gone and committed to setting up his car for that. And you guys will be able to tell me, I haven't obviously spent time in this, but there must be a significant difference in the way the car handles in a wet setup in a Assetto Corsa.
Yeah, I mean, he might have taken the gamble that it was going to, like, instead of getting better, it was actually going to regress back to wet. But it's just getting every which way. People just passing him left and right, isn't it? But it will make a huge difference, obviously massive difference, if you go for a full wet setup.
The thing is, what I was talking about earlier about the damage is that sometimes we see guys take small bumps and we don't necessarily see those small bumps. And that does also affect the handling of the car ever so slightly, because Abschmeyer is really having a tough time of it. He's now got Wilkin and Deploy right behind him. The two of them getting a bit clustered up together. But Abschmeyer is going to get picked off.
Yeah, but he was running clean, remember? He was actually sitting there with no one around him. He was, I think, sitting in third position. There was no hassle. Good battle up there for second position. Have a look at McCall all over the back of Daniel Rowe. So remember that we've now got Noah Hendricks in second position, but he hasn't pitted yet. So this is a battle for second position. So it's an absolute cracker. Brian Lewis running away with things up at the top. We had a little glimpse in that frame of Noah Hendricks up ahead. So Daniel Rowe will be watching with one eye there and one eye in the mirror, just to try and figure out what's going on and how to keep a very, very fast Junior McCall behind him. Junior doing a good job.
Junior McCall all up on Daniel Rowe. That back bumper. Junior McCall best time. Oh, Tariq Adams off. Tariq Adam goes off in the background there. Tariq Adam goes off in the background. So he's in fifth position, losing out down to 7th. Back to the guys in further up ahead. Junior McCall. Oh, what's going on over there? Charles Wilson getting in the mix.
Yeah, that was Jason trying to turn in for the S's, but I mean, Charles was already there. Oh, and now Jason's gone and nudged Deploy as well. So
he's getting frustrated, Jason, isn't he? As these cars are just absolutely mugging him left and right.
But he's got to be careful. I mean, look, it's not going to make a difference, but I mean, you're going to end up getting time penalties added to that for avoidable contact, in my opinion. But he's really just got to rather let the cars go past, because it makes no difference. Maybe he's got a different calculator to us, but the one that we've got has him winning the championship, whether he finishes 10th or 20th.
Well, Morgan McCall is the biggest threat to him at the moment.
Yeah, and I
Morgan
don't
McCall
think
is the
he can
biggest-
quite make it, Morgan McCall. He's nowhere near there. I'm just putting it into the spreadsheet. He's going to have a very good finish for the season, but it's not going to be enough to compete with Jason Absmeyer for sure.
Yeah, what a pity. 20 points in it in the current title standings between Morgan McCall and Jason Absmeyer, and them first and third respectively.
That's also a good battle to look at where Tariq finishes, because Tariq has a chance at finishing second. So that's actually an interesting calculation to look at between Morgan McCall and Tariq Adams in terms of where they need to finish to give us our top three.
Adams made a mistake early on, unfortunately. He's now down in 7th position. A silly mistake, and now down in 7th position.
He's up to 6th again, so he's got past. Who's gone off there?
Straight on, yeah.
Yeah, but we've also lost. We lost someone. Where's Bruno Cadile gone? Bruno Cadile was running just ahead of Tariq Adams there, and I see he's gone. So I don't know what's happened to Bruno. But
Jason might have been disconnected, eh? Bruno Cadile looks like he's disconnected.
Yeah, because Tariq was definitely behind him, and then suddenly gone. So that's unfortunate for Bruno, because he was actually showing good pace. But Deploy, I mean, that Porsche just is not operating at the moment, and Deploy's got such good drivers. They come up to Leeuwkop and start the plunge down the mine shaft. So Jason really struggling.
Jason really does well to do a Leeuwkop and defend well there, but it's the next corner that he suffers. It's almost as if he doesn't have enough speed here going to the braking zone. He's been overtaken twice here. Now he goes defensive, but it seems like it's just a matter of time before these guys get past him. Claessen's now also in the mix, having a look. Absmeyer under immense pressure over there by Claessen's and Deploy and Claessen's now having a look. Claessen's wins it. Claessen's gets past Deploy, and now Deploy under pressure from Leslie Oliphant.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing for me. It's quite easy to defend up at Leeuwkop, because you just put your car in the middle of the track and no one can get past you. But you then are going to suffer heading down into crocodiles under braking. But like I said earlier, that corner isn't as important as it used to be. It's quite easy to defend your line through there as well, because the drive out of the corner, whether you take an early entry or you go for the wider line, doesn't really make too much of a difference. And the only thing, that's a good little move. That is a very, very good move as they late lunge as they're heading onto the old start finish straight. I love that. Massive respect there.
Getting in there.
Yeah, that's
I'm super
brilliant.
impressed with Junior McCall as well in our other picture. I mean, he's been driving consistently behind, just trying to track him down. But he's had a great season. Little Marius reflected on it earlier. He's had a really good season and been just a little bit unlucky, I think. But he's developed as a driver. Obviously, a very young guy, and he's showing his pace. And I really hope he gets a good finish here. He's not got long left, and a podium would be very well deserved for Junior McCall.
Yeah, Junior McCall.
It's good. It's really, really good to see just the maturity, because like we know, I mean, he got hit hard. What round was that? Alton Park, I think it was.
With the rain, he got strategy called, didn't he? And didn't pit under the safety car, and it just he was strong there, and he felt like he robbed a little bit. And then
he had pole in round 3.
Yeah, they were Alton Park.
Yeah.
And that for me was the little confidence blow that he suffered, because he was out of sorts after that. But it's really good to see him showing the real pace that he's got. He's a youngster with a super bright future. So yeah, I said right in the beginning I'd like to see him go for the win, but I think he'll be stoked to be on the podium today for sure.
Yeah, certainly coming from the Pro-Am division and now mixing it with the front of the Pro division. He is certainly our most improved candidate over the last couple of years. Absmeyer's car is really slow in a straight line.
He's looking like a back marker, isn't he? It's ridiculous.
5 kilometers an hour slower on the straight bits over there. I mean, it's insane down the main straight. He's taking a punishment. Once again gets muscled about by Deploy as Oliphant looks on. Oliphant and Deploy now having to deal with each other. And Absmeyer looking back going, when is this going to end? He's got 13 minutes for this to go.
I just feel sorry for Deploy, because he kind of is trying to get the pass done, but he's going for it, in my opinion, in the wrong places, and then he ends up getting compromised, and all that happens is the person behind him gets past. So everyone else is getting past him and Jason, and he's not getting past Jason. So I think it must be super frustrating for him as well. But he's got to get this move done. Listen, to be fair, Jason doing a fantastic job at making that a Bentley-esque Porsche because he literally is holding on to positions that he shouldn't be. And I think it's purely just his racecraft and making sure he's putting his car in the right place that sees him still in our top 15 at this point.
He's the
We've
racecraft.
had all this talk about how good the Porsche is around here. For the last 3 rounds, we've been talking about it, and yet we've got an Audi leading, followed by a Lamborghini and a Mercedes. So there's a Porsches of nowhere. We've got Charles Wilkins as the fastest Porsche in 8th position.
Yeah, it's surprising because I mean that's what you guys said with the aero update. I'm like, oh, that's
Very
not
surprising.
that's not fair because the Porsche before really did dominate around here. So
exactly.
I know for us from a championship perspective, it hasn't featured because no one went with it at the beginning of the season. A couple of guys got into it after round 3 when they were allowed to make that change, and the change was done specifically for the circuits that we were going to because they Porsche strong circuits. But it hasn't unfolded that way today. But this is a cracker battle, and I don't mind watching it from 2 different views. Daniel Rowe, hardware failure. We've just heard from my producer. That's why Bruno Cadele disappeared from our screens. But this is fantastic. I mean, Daniel Rowe will be so used to soaking up this sort of pressure. We speak about in racing terms like, don't look in your mirrors because it just messes with your rhythm. And someone that really understands that from all of his real racing experiences is Daniel Rowe. And he's been under massive pressure from Junior McCall for probably, I would say, 8 or 10 laps now and has not put a wheel wrong. So Daniel doing a great job, Morgan keeping him honest. And obviously all of that would have changed if the track was wet. So it really is playing into the driver's hands at the moment. They don't need to worry about weather and where the grip levels are. They can just put in their banker lap after lap at the moment.
And this is where Junior needs to show his maturity because I've watched him race like this circuit before, and one criticism I possibly have is he's a little bit impatient, but he's not. He's going to go around the outside, and he's going to have to drag race down to turn 2 here, Junior McCall. But
I think we've got a bit of a drag race going on. He might have the lead here.
Yeah, I think he's going to have it. Although we've got the inside line being covered.
Oh,
yeah, but
it's not impatience if you pull it off, though. It's not impatience if you pull it off.
No, but that's what he needed to do. He waited for a mistake on a technical circuit, and then he took advantage of it. Where in the past, Junior McCall, maybe in his younger years, he's trying to force it a little bit too much.
His younger years?
Yeah. Unbelievably so.
We could go back to the battle we saw early on. There's been massive pandemonium further back with Abschmeyer, Oliphant, all involved. I hope we can get a replay of that. Grobler gets involved in the mix as well. I've just got my other screen playing here. There's been a massive shuffle of the deck there further back. And Leslie Oliphant and the guys getting tangled up with each other.
Well, that was always going to happen. There was frustration levels mounting from Jason's perspective, from Deploy's perspective, everyone trying to get past everyone, cars with big differences in pace. So that was inevitable. But Daniel, just to go back to what you picked up on there in terms of Junior McCall, it's exactly it. We saw Daniel making a little mistake through Cheetah, running wide. We saw that puff of dust, and that compromised his exit out of there, and that gave Junior the opportunity. But then what I was really impressed with is how he blocked off early that inside line going into turn 2, and it made Daniel have to reconsider how he gets back past. So
it's a
well
scary
done.
prospect for other drivers going forward because you can actually see the improvement every round from Junior McCall.
Oh yes, and that's definitely it. I mean, at his age, he's already taken a second off of Rowe. But at his age, the leaps forward are clear. We're all seeing it, and he's only going to learn. For the next 5 years, he's in the development phase. And at this stage of his development, if he's this fast, this guy's going to be a force to be reckoned with, man. I'm looking forward to see what he can do.
Guarantee it by the looks of it. If he just sticks at it and keeps the motivation up, then he for sure can be a force to be reckoned with.
Have you got your calculator there, Daniel? Just have a look, because Tariq Adams now sitting in 5th under a lot of pressure from Sean Stratham. You see him going defensive into turn 1, but we also know that is Tariq's line. He likes to go in, but have a look how deep he ends up. So now you totally compromised through this little section. I really want to spend some time with Tariq and show him the real racing line through there in terms of it. Maybe it's different in sim, but it hasn't been working for him in this race. So he's under pressure from Sean. But I want to see the calculations here with Tariq and Morgan for the championship. Here's that replay we were wanting to see with Jason struggling, running a little bit wide, heading into Ingwe. What's happened? He's blocked it. Oh, okay. So listen.
Patterson gets the nudge.
But I'm having a look. That's a very late move under braking by Jason Abschmeyer, in my opinion, because it looked like he was trying to close off the opportunity. He ran a little bit wide coming out of Cheetah, and that's obviously compromised him. And for me, it looked like a bit of a late move under braking to to square off that corner. So Patterson definitely giving him a tap. I'd like to see it again.
Yeah, I've got, looking at the calculators that you look after point standings for the championship regarding Morgan McCall. The one good thing Tariq Adams has got, round 2, was it round 2 or round 3? Round 3 had a bit of a disaster and only 70 points. So with that dropping off, and then he ends now, he will be on 446 points, and that'll be 4 points ahead of Morgan McCall, even though he's behind him on circuit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought because Tariq was really, you're right, he had that one bad race, and then he was really putting in some really consistent performances, and he was always there and thereabouts for top 3 finishes. Obviously playing in his favour the fact that Jordan Sherritt isn't here, so to end the season in second position overall, that's a fantastic result. Obviously teammates with Daniel Rowe as well. Sean Stratham, Aldo Bellingham, great outing.
I
So
think
after
he'll
all the
probably
pit
be
stops,
third, because you've got Brian Lewis currently, obviously if he wins this with 100 points, should quite comfortably go up into second place.
Okay, all right, forgot about Brian. Yes,
but a podium nonetheless, for sure.
Yeah, but we haven't spoken about Brian, and like he's kind of been the dark horse the whole season, clocking up points whenever he needed to. Suddenly comes to the final round and says, "Hi guys, remember me?" Puts it on pole, takes the race win. And you're right, I think going into today's race, he was sitting in 3rd or 4th position on the championship standings.
Yeah, Brian Lewis in 4th position in the championship with that Audi, and Mr. Consistency, that's for sure. He's really been flying under the radar, scoring points, 79 points, 88 points, 90 points twice. So Brian Lewis flying under the radar and flying now into position.
Yeah, Jordan Sherritt's going to drop way back, because he's going to be sort of mid-pack in the top 10, which is, we had him down for a win, really, didn't we? So because he had that really bad round, only 72 points in round 2, so he wanted to replace that. So, and by him not pitching, unfortunately, he's going to drop right down. And might even be close to out the top 10.
That was his success palace race at Spa, if you remember,
Yes.
after winning the opening round. But then obviously mucking around in Donington at round 5 didn't help his cause either. So he ended up sitting with too many throwaway races, essentially, which is not.
You've only got one, and he's he needed to be
he's now
here,
got
really.
3. Exactly. He's going to end up at the end of the season with 3 throwaways. So Brian
Just to
was
recap the points there, guys. P1 gets 100 points, P2 gets 95 points, P3 92, and P4 through to P30 91 to 65. So 65
great
there, around 65. That is the minimum amount of points. Junior McCall gets the fastest lap of the race so far. Junior McCall, a man on a mission by the looks of things, and what a way to finish the season for Junior McCall if he gets fastest lap on the day as well.
He's going to run out of time, but he's a man on the move. 7/10 quicker than our leader, Brian Lewis. However, Lewis knows he's got an 8-second gap. Is probably managing it a little bit, I suspect.
That was a great move by Sean Stratham as well, going around the outside on the entry into Sunset. We weren't on board with Tariq, but he obviously got it wrong coming onto this old start-finish straight, and it gave Sean a great run. We see the lights flashing as he comes up on the on a back marker. Get out the way, dude! I'm coming through.
The Bastos moves out the way.
And he's done well. Well done. Because we've mentioned DeBastos a few times. I'm trying to think what race it was where he spent more time off track than on track, but really well done. Seeing the blue flags, getting out of the way, because this is the cracker little battle. So Daniel, by your calculations, then the battle for 3rd is also done and dusted. It doesn't really matter where Tariq finishes.
My Excel spreadsheet is an absolute mess right now, so we're going to have to probably wait for tomorrow to work out exactly. I'm trying to work out where Junior McCall's going to put himself in a good position as well, because he had a drop round in round 3 where he that unlucky one at Alton Park where he had pole position and fastest lap, but ended up with only 72 points. So he's going to replace that with 95 here. Which is going to get him right up the order. It's really close between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place for sure. It's going to be interesting to see the table tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that table here as we get to the battle. 5th position, Stratham there in the Lexus in 5th position. Behind him, we've got Tariq Adam in 6th place. Still in it.
I'm just sighing because I just picked up on our group and I see there Kieran Patterson, a 15-second penalty for an avoidable contact. So I hope we debate this tomorrow, because that was that incident on Jason Abschmeyer heading into the final turn. where in my opinion it looked like Jason made a very late move under braking, and where would you like Patterson to go other than into the back of the guy? So yeah, possibly controversial. Maybe I eat my words when I get to see full replays of it, but from first look I feel like he might have been hard done by there. We know that Jason's in a car that's basically going backwards. He's sitting in 15th position, coming under pressure now from Jason Isherwood. So for me, really, you've got to consider that as well when you deal with penalties too. He, in theory, should be getting out the way and just letting guys go past now.
Yeah, Jason Abschmeyer down in 15th position, our potential championship winner. But so much action happening through the field. We're now in with Jason Isherwood in 16th position, applying more pressure to Jason, to poor Jason Abschmeyer. Jason Abschmeyer has absorbed an incredible amount of pressure. I do think that their car Vs might have been downgraded instead of upgraded for this round.
Yeah, I really don't know what's gone on with it. We've got to find out afterwards what sort of setup changes we had, or whether he's picked up a bit of damage somewhere that we've missed. But it's something strange going on with Jason Abschmeyer. We're expecting him to be a lot quicker. I know Jonathan was just spying on him before this round started, and he was unbelievably impressed with his times with the 30 kg ballast. Was expecting him to run away with a win, quite frankly. So, yeah, we're not quite sure what's gone on with Jason Abschmeyer.
But like we speculated, that was in the wet.
I think in any conditions, he was quick in any conditions. He with the update to the Porsche in practice, he was Jonathan's hot pick. That was for sure.
Yeah. Oh well. 2 minutes to go. Doesn't make a difference. I just know from a driver's perspective, a driver of his caliber will be disappointed because you win the championship, but it's also nice to have a strong outing at your home race, so to speak. So I think he'll be disappointed to be finding himself down in 15th position, actually under serious pressure, probably going to end up in 16th position.
One thing he's really happy about is that Jordan Sherratt mucked about in Donington and gave him that extra 5 points, because I've got Brian Lewis concluding this session only 2 points behind Jason Abschmeyer for the championship. So if that didn't happen, Jordan Sherratt basically gifted it to Jason Abschmeyer.
Wow.
It's a very good observation, Daniel. Well done.
On his final lap. Morgan McCall also not within striking distance. He's in 4th position, third in the championship at the moment, but it doesn't look like he's going to have a big enough lead over Jason Abschmeyer to be able to clinch and cinch that first place position.
Yeah, but he's more than likely not even going to finish in 3rd overall either, because Tariq Adams has accumulated more points from what we were trying to work out. So yeah, it could be calculator.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about in Donington where the drivers would just pull over and no one wanted to finish first, no one wanted ballast here. Jason Abschmeyer took it. He decided, no, I don't mind taking 80 kgs, and that 5 points is basically going to win him this championship.
Yeah. That's what we spoke about, and we mentioned again beginning of the race. You guys, we've had long debates about it, and like at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. So take the points. You know, it's on a plate. You may as well be stoked to get 2 race wins, and now you've got a championship to go with it. So well done. But Brian Lewis, man, we haven't spoken much about him because he's literally run away with things in the front. But what a fantastic Kyalami weekend. A way to wrap up round 6. He's just been untouchable, and good to see an Audi back at the top again.
Wow, Brian Lewis makes the final turn across the line. He goes, this will be the first time he experiences this feeling, the ATK Pro Series. Brian Lewis, your winner of the final round of the ATK Pro Series. An unbelievable turn of events there for Mr. Lewis in the Audi. Junior McCall 6 seconds back, gets the flag in 2nd place. Daniel Rowe across the line, 5 seconds down. Morgan McCall gets 4th place, and now the calculations will come to fruition. I wonder what's going to happen and who's going to be at the top.
Valentino Rossi fans in the corner there. What's all that yellow smoke?
46.
I love it. They're obviously at the wrong race.
And now we wait for Jason Abschmeyer, our championship title winner, possibly, more than likely, by all calculations. Jason Abschmeyer makes his way towards the finish line. A couple corners to go for him as Kieran Patterson crosses the line with 15 seconds in tow as well.
Well, Jason's going to score 2 positions there, so finish in 13th because Leslie and Kieran have got those time penalties. It looks like I see Kieran's in the. Yeah, I mean, it's just anyway. We'll discuss that tomorrow for sure.
Lots to discuss then.
Very interesting final race. Really
very interesting final race, and the deck has now officially been shuffled. We wait for those points to get calculated so that we can know who the winners are. But for now, we'll be going to a break, folks. We'll be right back after this. And round 6 come to its natural conclusion with Brian Lewis at the top of the podium for the very first time. Well done to him in that Audi, no less. Junior McCall in second position. Junior McCall now becoming a familiar name on the podium. It seems Daniel Rowe, his first win. And it looks like, Marius, finally Daniel Rowe's not trying to finish in the top 6 anymore. He's happy with the third place finish.
Yeah, listen, he hasn't spent much time, actually. If you remember, I think he missed the last round, and they're so busy. They've got full racing seasons in other sim series. So good to see Daniel having a good outing in the Lambo in third position. Brian Lewis looked like Carl Lewis the way he ran away with this race today. So fantastic result for him, and we were all raving about Junior McCall and hoping that he would have a solid finish to the season, and he's done that. I think he'll be stoked with second. He really has shown great racecraft this season, and it's a very nice podium. I like that.
Yeah, and nice to see a couple of different names on the podium. We're still waiting for those official calculations, but Dan, you seem to be pretty confident for what you think is going to happen going into the final now, and looking at the final championship standings. Where do you think these guys will end up?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the full table. But Jason Absmeyer was basically gifted this championship with Jordan Sherrick handing over the race win at Donington Park. And those 5 points have proved vital, because I've got Brian Lewis finishing only 2 points behind Jason Absmeyer. So if Jordan Sherritt took the win at Donington, it would have flipped positions. But as it stands, Jason Absmeyer is provisional championship leader and should conclude as the champion of the series, followed by Brian Lewis in second position. Quite interesting, Junior McCall just pips his brother Morgan by 1 point thanks to his fastest lap in this round. So he gets the bragging rights in the McCall household.
Jeez, and that's a nice one as well. Oh, by the way, I beat you by 1 point because I was the fastest. But Daniel, what's interesting for me then? So I'm trying to look at the point system. Where would Jason have needed to have finished for Brian to have finished first?
That would need a little bit more time on Excel, I'm afraid.
Because you see what's ended up happening now with those time penalties. Maybe that's why there was such frustration for Jason. He's probably doing all these calculations and knowing I can't be dropping too far back from Brian, who's racing away with it. But he's been gifted 2 extra positions now. He's finished 13th.
I think he went into this race knowing that if Jordan Sherritt didn't enter, Jason Absmeyer had it won, even if he disconnected, didn't even finish. This will actually be his drop round, I think, is Jason Absmeyer. So it's a completely unnecessary round. So the 2 wins was all he needed. His only worry was Jordan Sherritt. However, if he finished second at Donington, arguably where he should have finished, then it would have been a critical event for him, and he would have had to have picked up points over his next best.
It just shows, It just shows. Always got to keep your head in the game. Always got to stay in it. For every single point does count at the end of a championship.
I'm definitely in favor of simplifying this whole thing and just going with, points for the top positions, and that's it. Not everyone is scoring points, because I think that it just keeps the calculators far too busy, because I love the pressure that comes with knowing if I don't finish in the top 10, I don't score points.
Yeah, it could be definitely an argument for that, I think. But,
big time, because you can imagine how Jason would have been then, the pressure he's undergoing. I've made a cock up in terms of my car setup. I'm losing positions. I can't afford to, whereas when it doesn't really matter because I'm going to score enough points anyway, it kind of changes things. But listen, we looked forward to a cracker season this season. Last year it was obviously a bit of a runaway, and the changes that I think have been made by ATK this year have certainly delivered that. It's been brilliant. Apparently, we're going to have a chat to Daniel Rowe. I don't know if he's joined in on our chat yet, but always a good man. Dan,
how's it?
I can call you Dan the man. Is your mom knitting and your dad watching you race?
No, I don't know what they're doing.
Have they locked you in the bedroom to go and play?
No, I just told them I'm eating. They can have lunch. I'm driving. They can have lunch.
Daniel, good to see you on the podium. We were all making jokes about the strategy right in the beginning of the season, that you were kind of happy to always finish around 6th position. And then you obviously missed a couple of races because you had other championships that you were involved in. But this is now no strategy. This was out and out pace shown today.
Yeah, it was I think I had more in the wet. Possibly could have qualified second, but I didn't get the lap together. So
yeah, we saw you losing it through cheater twice. One big controlled power slide.
Yeah, it's tricky with this Lambo. It's a tricky car to get around. So I've only done a few races with it, but it's quite fun.
Daniel, what was the? Sorry,
go ahead, Marius.
What was the thought process going into this? Because we were talking about guys predicting it's going to be a wet race, and we were all wondering what was happening from a tire pressure perspective. You didn't pit early; a lot of other guys did. Was that something that you were speculating it would be a wet race? Did you do laps in the wet and set your car up for the wet?
No, I actually did some testing this morning, and the server went wet. So I was hoping, based on that session, my pace was really good in the wet. But I seemed to be a little bit off in the dry, so I was hoping for full wet, but it happened to go damp and then dry. So yeah,
an incredible drive there, Daniel Rowe, and someone, like I said, we were saying, you just decided to put your foot down today and go, you know what, it's the last round. Forget 6th place, forget 7th place. We're going for 3rd this time. So well done on your first podium. The Lamborghini is very difficult to drive. What are your thoughts going into a potential next season? What car do you think you're going to be using next?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm a Bentley fan, obviously. I actually like the BM, but its BOP is shocking. Mm-hmm. And I like the McLaren a lot, so but I just took Lambo just to have some fun and try something new, and the race turned out alright. They had a nice start with Junior. I just didn't have the pace towards the end, so I rather bank a podium.
Yes, exactly. Wise words there, wise words. Daniel, you're our 3rd place man, and if this is you having fun in the Lamborghini, I look forward to seeing when the things get a bit more serious on your side. But of course, you got your racing career you've also got to attend to, but we're so glad to have you here, keeping the boys honest, showing the guys how it's done from time to time, and now getting your first podium in the ATK Pro Series. I think the guys that raced you are going to be happy to have done so, and the guys that, some of the guys might have some bragging rights over Daniel Rowe, which is not also a bad thing. So congratulations on the 3rd place, my man. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of you in future.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks to everyone organized. Well done to the other competitors, and to Brian and Junior.
Lekker. Brian and Junior McCall, of course, the guys that are in 2nd and 1st place on the podium. Junior McCall, my driver of the season. Marius, I mean, who else is there?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get Junior on the line and have a little chat to him. Tough call for me to say driver of the season, because there were some strategy calls that he got wrong. But it's just good to see him finishing up where he needs to be. He's always had the pace to be running in the top 3, and he showed that today. So I'm super stoked. I mean, I remember last year when we started this ATK Pro Series and watching him racing in the Pro-Am division and saying, geez, this little kid's quick, And from there, he would have progressed to the pros, but he couldn't because they were sharing a steering wheel, him and his brother Morgan, until ATK came along and made it possible for them to have their own setup. So, yeah, we expect big things from him, and it's just really cool. You can chat to a real racing pro like Daniel Rowe, and now you can chat to a junior, literally. Junior, man, good to have you on the podium where you belong, my mate.
Junior McCall, are you with us, Junior McCall? Okay, so I would say Junior McCall, let's say most improved driver, certainly. I think I'm making up awards here as we wait for Junior McCall to jump in with us.
Yeah, it's such a nice intro for Junior, and then he left me hanging. So
he's a young boy, he's shy. Get on it, Junior.
I don't see him in the production.
I think he's busy having a chat with his brother and just reminding him of the fact that he picked him in the championship and the fastest lap.
I heard a voice. Junior McCall, do you read us? Junior McCall, come in.
So what we figured out with Junior, he can drive, but he can't communicate. He leaves the talking for the racetrack.
He's still got his helmet on. He's the stick.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Junior,
Hello?
hello. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Junior, well
Hello?
done, my man. You've shown pace the whole flipping season. You've had a couple of tricky runs. We'll talk about Alton Park, but this is where you belong, mate. On the podium. Fantastic pace today. You stoked?
They're calling you in his answer.
Well,
Gent,
when
Can
you're
you
young
hear me?
enough to get in trouble with your parents when racing and winning, that's good. There we go.
hello, he's here.
I was going to say this.
Junior
this
is
probably-
here.
This is probably one of my most interesting interviews that I've ever done, because we're chatting more to people in the background than we are to Junior. So the next person I'd like to hear from
Yes,
is
we do.
Junior. Say hello, Junior.
Hello?
Okay, well done. Now don't go anywhere now, Junior. We're talking to you. Are you stoked with the
Okay.
result, bud?
I think Junior is a man of few words. A man of very
Yes,
few words.
It's
Yes,
fine.
I
Okay, well,
can
let's.
hear you. Yes.
Are you happy with the results today?
Yes, I'm very happy with the result today.
Okay.
Have you
Junior,
told
I
your
had,
Have you told your brother that you're better than him?
Yeah, I'm very happy about these results today. I haven't been
I think we're losing him a little bit. I think the line's a bit bad. Well, the line certainly wasn't bad when he was racing there, and we'll catch up with Junior again some other time. But Junior McCall unfortunately gets second, gets an unclear line, but certainly not an unclear run today. In second position, they're scoring 96 points for his trouble. And like I said, most improved driver for me, certainly Junior McCall over the course of 2 seasons. But with most potential, certainly Junior McCall, but the man that used as much of the circuit as possible to get as much pace out the car as possible, gets the fastest lap and cruises to victory. Brian Lewis, your first win in the ATK Pro Series. Congratulations, in an Audi, no less.
Thanks, man. It was a fun race. I'm not gonna lie.
You had no one to race, Brian. You ran away with it. I mentioned it earlier. You were like Carl Lewis. You were that bloody quick. But listen, I mean, we actually feel quite bad because a lot of the time, I think the season you were kind of under the radar because you were scoring points consistently when you need to score points, and then we look pre-race at the championship standings. We're going, geez, like, I mean, this guy's in a shout, and it ended up being so close. From our calculations, it looked like you were just 2 points off of taking the championship title. So you win at Kyalami, you take it off of pole position, and you finish second in the ATK Pro Series. That is a cracker season.
Second. Oh, I like her. I was just avoiding the ballast.
So that's a bit of a surprise result there for you, Brian.
A little, yeah. You know the Audi is, yeah. It's nice and fast.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's quite funny because I mean we're talking about everyone's raving about how quick the Porsche has always been around Kyalami, and then obviously there were some improvements for this race. Yet the Porsches were absolutely nowhere. Good to see an Audi back where it belongs. But I liked your chirp where you said you were trying to avoid the ballast. Was that really a strategy for you going through the earlier rounds in the season?
Yeah, you know how the Audi is with more fuel, it just bottoms out, and then you can have a miserable race. So, like 6th place, 5th place the whole time for me was fine.
Oh,
So-
and look where it ended up, where you come to the final round where it's like no ballast, gloves off, show true pace, and end up with a cracker result. Yeah, I'm stoked for you, and it's nice to hear how surprised you are, because it's like you're probably the only guy that hasn't gone and pulled a calculator out before the race to figure out what you needed to do for the championship.
I don't think I was going to win it, but it was going to be close. Like, I mean, second, I'll take it.
Well,
Yeah.
now you go through to the showdown. I'm sure that was obviously one of the main motivations behind this, to be part of the ATK showdown, the MSA showdown. How are you
definitely.
feeling? How confident are you feeling going into the MSA showdown?
I don't know, because we don't know what we're exactly racing. I'll take it as it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's what
No,
you
you're-
did today.
You're
And it
racing
paid
golf
off.
carts.
I think JC can give me a couple of golf lessons. It's been a while since I played.
Well, what an incredible performance. Brian, Dan, any words from you to our man Brian over here?
Yeah, just obviously, do you regret holding back at all in any other races where you're only, I think I've got you 2 points behind Jason Absar for the championship. Obviously, we'll have to tally it up properly, but you're so close. Do you think that tactic now, in hindsight, you should have maybe gathered a bit more points where you could, or do you think that's what actually got you the position that you're in, just holding back and trying to avoid that ballast?
I think it was probably 1 or 2 races. I think it was the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 79 points in the first is your drop round now, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what probably lost it, but I mean, to keep being consistent and ended up second. Well, we will know once the post-race penalties are done.
Oh yes, we will. We will, and that's what we're going to be finding out more about tomorrow with regard to the incident report. That's it from us here so far, at least for the interviews. You know what an incredible season it's been, guys. We've had 6 rounds so far. Brian Lewis, the winner so far. Congratulations, Brian. I mean, you've won one of the rounds of the ATK Pro Series. No one can ever take that away from you. So congratulations to him. But we've got one more interview that I think all of us are interested to hear about. The man that potentially is our champion in waiting, Jason Abschmeyer. Welcome to the booth, champ.
Thank you for having me. How are you guys?
Good. But that doesn't matter how I am. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty beat up. That was so stressful. I'm sweating. That was really stressful.
We missed your donuts in celebration because we went to an ad break. But dude, did you have your Porsche in reverse? What the hell was going on? We're all trying to speculate if you'd gone with a wet setup and then the thing just was a pig in the dry.
Yep, your speculation was right. They give us like a minute to decide what we want to do, and when I saw the track was on damp, it's like I don't know what to do. Then I just loaded the setup and hope for the best. But yeah, as soon as I put on the dries, it was just a nightmare. Understeer galore. So yeah, that was.
So your wet setup with the dry tires was an absolute no-go.
Yep, no, it was too understeery. Even through sunset, I needed to take a gear down just to get the car rotating.
Wow.
No, so, but you know what the thing is, we were saying, luckily, this is not a championship where only the top 10 score points in a way, because but then you would have been sweating bullets. But in theory, going into this race, the fact that Jordan never arrived took all the pressure off of you, you know? So it must have been quite nice, even though you said you feel beat up, you must have known, I know you would have done the calculations, you would have known that you can't actually lose.
Yeah, I was trying to do the calculations while I was driving, but I sent a voice note. I sent a voice note. Yeah, I sent a voice note to my girl quickly. It's like, come help. I need some calculation advice. What's going on? Where do I need to go? How many positions can I afford to, lose from now onwards? So
you could actually not have bothered racing if you liked.
No, it's actually not that. Well,
yeah, it's the way I've got it, Jason. It's just the one big standout that we figured out was you getting 100 points at Donington, where Jordan Sherratt sort of decided he didn't want to win that race. Basically, won you the championship. So I've got you only 2 points ahead. So I mean, good job you didn't pull over and avoid that ballast, eh?
Yeah, we didn't even notice Brian Lewis. I mean, he's there.
In from nowhere.
Sixth place in the championship, and they took the win today with pole position as well. So it's another point. It's close.
Jason, that's what we were talking about with him, because right in the beginning of the season, we speculated after like the second round, after Spa, we were saying, listen, there's a clear strategy here to finish 5th or 6th. And Daniel Rose said that was his plan. And that was what Brian was playing to. And to get to the final round, suddenly you there and thereabouts, even though you've been under the radar from our racing commentary perspective as well, not winning anything, not showing his hand, and ending up coming so close. But dude, if anybody deserves it, it is you, because you flippin' live this life. You really do. So I'm super, super stoked for you, my friend. Very, very cool. If we were overseas like we were a few years back, we'd be having a beer right now.
Oh yes, that sounds so good now. But yeah, I'll have a Coke.
We're gonna have to wait. Coke. We're gonna have to wait until the next announcement from our president before we're gonna be popping champagne.
Have a Coke with the oak, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Jason Abschmeyer.
Thank you.
Just for the record, you are our champion in waiting. We wait for the official results, but by all accounts, it does look like you might be the champion. And if that is the case, my friend, the record books will always show that you won this season of the ATK Pro Series. A valiant effort from you. Congratulations so far in advance, and just a fantastic performance all around. I know today was a bit of a tough one, but overall, over the course of a championship, you, my friend, scored the most points. So congratulations on that.
I'm
Thank you very
happy
much.
for him.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What a performance, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Abschmeyer there just joined us seconds ago, all the way down the order today with the incorrect setup. Well done for calling that, guys. I mean, that setup could not have been fun to drive with for Mr. Abschmeyer, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, look, I think the fact that they started in the damp rather than in the rain, that you could go either which way, and he made the gamble to go, the rain might come back, and it didn't. It was the opposite. We ended up on a complete optimum track. So, I mean, he might as well throw the dice. He already knew he was in a comfortable position, wasn't he? So, he took a decision, and it obviously didn't pay out today, but thankfully he had that sort of wiggle room to work with.
But Daniel, can you not just run with like a middle of the road setup?
Yeah, no, he took the gamble for a full wet setup, clearly. And
you see,
that's it. I was looking at his times, just thinking, how is he 2-3 seconds a lap slower? The ballast did not explain that, and it was evident that was the case.
I mean, he's obviously running a high downforce setup as well. That top speed was so limited in that car. But we are at the end of our round 6 event, folks. We will be back next week. Of course, is the 18th of July, and that will be the start of our MSA Showdown, the Gran Turismo Sport, guys. Still have to figure things out tomorrow, but by all accounts, we're going to be having our top 24 drivers taking part at the start of the ATK MSA Showdown happening next week. 10 drivers will be chosen from ACC, 10 drivers will be chosen from GT Sport. 4 community wildcards will also be chosen, and these are guys from various other championships that are standout athletes. The MSA Showdown starts the 18th of July with the finals happening on the 31st and the 1st of August. It's going to be an exciting couple of weeks ahead. Of course, this event could not have been made possible without Mercedes-Benz and ATK. Mercedes-Benz, of course, powering the wheels off of this event. Coach Dave Academy involved as well. Kyalami 9 Hour, and of course, Motorsport South Africa. Marius, any final words for you as we're about to wrap up round 6?
It's just been really fun to be part of it, and I just think I spoke about it earlier, the things that we've implemented as ATK and the Pro Series and the organizers in terms of ensuring that we have a showdown. I think it's really worked, and for me, that's what you want to see, is progression and improvement. You want to start identifying drivers and seeing them grow, and we've had that opportunity now over 2 seasons, so it's been really amazing. But yeah, great to crown champions, but also looking forward to see how things pan out when it comes down to the MSA Showdown, because tomorrow night we're obviously back with the Gran Turismo guys, where the top 10, they're also going to be qualifying for the MSA Showdown. So at the end of it all, it's not over yet, because you want to have the proper bragging rights, say you are the best sim racer in South Africa, irrespective of what platform. So it's been a cracker season, and I've also really enjoyed obviously working with you, Ernest, but great having Daniel on board with the team as well. It's just added another great dynamic, so it's been fun.
Yeah, Dan, what a pleasure having you here with us. Any final thoughts from you?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Really been exciting. Pretty much every race I've been involved with. I cannot wait for the MSA Showdown, because I mean, let's be honest, I'm thoroughly biased towards the PC guys, but when you throw PlayStation guys against PC guys, it could be anywhere. I've never seen that happen before, so I can't wait to see how the PlayStation racers stack up against the PC guys and where that's going to go. But it's been really enjoyable. Also, thoroughly enjoyed joining you two in the commentary booth, and got so much more to look forward to as that MSA Showdown. Can't wait.
Indeed, so much more to look forward to. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Marius Roberts and Daniel Haynes. This is the ATK Pro Series powered by Mercedes-Benz. We'll be back tomorrow evening and again on the 18th of July for the MSA Showdown. We'll see you guys on track. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.